Asylum Justin Milamar for Revolution News here at the Library and Archives Canada, where the Emergency Act inquiry is taking place at. Folks, back on Wednesday, November the 16th. Oh, well, yes. John Osowski, the former president of the CBSA, and of course, two bureaucrats from the federal government also testified. But of course, just take a look on some of the clips that occurred during that day when these three people testified. Check it out.
Sequence of similar threat assessment or situational reports. Mr. Clerk, could you call up SSM NSC CAN 7064?
To Freedom Corp, which represents the protesters that were in Ottawa in January and February of 2022. So I just want to begin first by bringing up an email, and it's government document ssm.can.00004353_rel.0001. The email is not correct.
When you say the email, this is an email I've never seen, and I've only read a quarter of it, so I have a hard time coming up with a proper judgment of this email.
Okay, so you haven't seen this email before? Today?
No.
Okay.
But it's not, it's to a number of people, like I'm not on the chain, right?
Okay. And it states there under the link, if we can scroll down, it says, steps need to be taken immediately to reduce the processing time to pre-pandemic levels, rethinking the necessity of asking multiple health-related questions as they are not being answered honestly anyways, and adding a field of a driver's fast card to indicate vaccination status are a couple of suggestions. Was that addition to a fast card, was it ever implemented?
So this would be a question that you would need to put to CBSA because it has to do with the details of the operation.
And if we could scroll down to the last page, it's in reverse order, okay? And up, I apologize, up to the beginning where the email starts. Okay, so this is an email from Ron Renas. Are you familiar that he's the GM of the Peace Bridge? He's the general manager of the Peace Bridge.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other individual who the email is sent to is Vance Badway, and I take it you understand that that's Vance Badway is the Member of Parliament for Niagara Centre?
Yes.
And are you familiar with Tim Clutterbuck? He, I understand, is the recently retired president of ASW Steel. Are you familiar with him?
I don't think I know this person.
Okay. So I want to go through this email with you briefly. And in it is some information about not the blockades, but as of January 27th, the GM of the Peace Bridge advises the yesterday border delays were 70 to 75 minutes entering Canada, and trucks were queued across the Peace Bridge and miles up the I-190 in Buffalo. Truck processing times at Canada Customs have increased from 2 minutes to 3 minutes per truck. While some truckers are leaving the industry because of the vaccination requirements, what is not being talked about is drivers quitting because of border delays that impinge on their hours of service requirements, onerous ArriveCAN, and PHAC requirements in tech. If they are not quitting the industry, they are getting out of long-haul cross-border business and switching to only domestic routes. And the U.S. Bureau of Labor reports just released states that the long-haul truck...
So, there you have it there, folks. You can just basically see from there is that, yes, basically, for the most very obvious of factor that these two bureaucrats are just really out of touch with reality, if you will hear, folks. But of course, you can just also see that when it comes to these two bureaucrats, they're just really out there struggling to answer a simple basic question, if you will. And of course, the other part here, folks, is that yes, basically these two bureaucrats tried their ultimate best to dodge the bullets coming to their way. But of course here, folks, I would say nothing new, because given the factor that these people are one of the bureaucrats in the federal government. But aside from that here, folks, is that yes, basically the former president of CBSA, in my point of view, is that I just think that he dodged some bullet here. But of course, the very worst of it, these two bureaucrats that testified back on Wednesday, November the 16th. But obviously here, folks, you can just see when it comes to these bureaucrats, well, they're just really out there ultimately trying their best to, well, keep the line going. What an absolute disgrace that is. But of course, I would say nothing new, because obviously that when it comes to this type of bureaucrats, well, they just lie to their teeth, and of course they make things up as they go. And of course, that is just totally ridiculous and disgraceful. And of course, I even imagine how on earth the federal government can function with these bureaucrats sitting in one of their departments and having this type of people being really out of touch. But of course, well, these people are just really unelected and of course unaccountable people. But of course, still the same, the factor of the ghost here, folks. Well, these people just really lie, and of course lying liars. And of course here, folks, you know the thing here, lying liar pants on fire. For Revolution News, I'm Asylum Justin Villamor. Folks, if you want to be kept up to date on what's happening at the Emergency Act Inquiry, including my live tweets and some clips and highlights that occurring at the Emergency Act Inquiry, by heading over to revolutionnews.ca/Emergency Act Commission. That's revolutionnews.ca/Emergency Act Commission. And of course here, folks, while you're there, please head over to donorbox.org/Emergency Act Commission. That's donorbox.org/Emergency Act Commission. And of course here, folks, if you could chip in a buck or two, that will be greatly appreciated, as it will help me cover my travel expenses, including my expenses on food, as bringing you these stories doesn't come for free. Thank you so much.